Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing Bant Midrange. We've got URO, Titan of Nature's Wrath, so powerful it's banned in Modern. URO is going to help us generate value and keep coming back no matter how many times our opponent kills him. And we've got cards like Endurance. I got a full 4 Endurance. This card is bonkers against Delver strategies. It's really good against Reanimator strategies. It can potentially be pitch cast to stop your opponents from winning with Thassa's Oracle. We've got 4 Ice-fang Coatl. This draws a card when you play it. It can come out at instant speed, and it can be Death Touch if you have enough snow permanents, which we do have snow basics. We've got this new card, Jolrael, Mwonvuli Recluse. Probably butchering the pronunciation of this card, but she's a 2 mana, 1/2, and whenever you draw your second card of a turn, you get to create a 2/2 green cat creature. So we're going to be drawing our second card of the turn, like basically every turn. So she just becomes this engine for cat tokens. And she has this win con where if you have 6 mana, until the end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. We're going to have a lot of cards in our hand if things are going well, and we're going to be swinging for lethal, doing a giant alpha strike with our flying Ice-fang Coatls that are like 7/7. We have 3 Tamiyo in the deck. No explanation needed. She's in every deck I play. And this deck is heavy on control. We've got 3 Spell Pierce, and we have 3 Wasteland. So we can keep these Spell Pierce alive pretty late into the game. And we do have a Life from the Loam, so we can potentially waste lock our opponents. We have all the best removal, 4 Plows, 3 Prismatic Ending. We have a Teferi, which is also removal and control. And then we have all the cantrips and a great mana base. We're playing 21 lands, which normally I would never play 21 lands, but URO lets us play extra lands each turn. And with Loam, I'm expecting that we are going to have pretty good mana throughout the league. Even against Eldrazi, which is famous for destroying lots of lands uncounterably. Speaking of Eldrazi, in the sideboard, we've got 4 Consigned to Memories, and we've got a Harbinger of the Seas to help lock out Eldrazi opponents. We have 3 Hydroblasts because Moonstompy is it's strongly represented in the meta, and Painter is too. Speaking of Painter, we've got Wrath of the Skies to mop up constructs, Urza Saga, other permanent dense decks like 8-cast. Should we run into that? We have a Hull Breacher to surprise and potentially stop a lot of draw-based combo decks, and just to be a good value creature against Brainstorm decks. We have 2 Carpet of Flowers because we're always going to have stuff to do with our mana. And we're playing a card I've never played before, Cursed Totem. Activated abilities of creatures can't be activated. Null Rod is a great card against artifact strategies. I'm not sure that it belongs in this deck, but we're really not doing anything artifact-centric. And my plan to stop a lot of combo decks is to do it through permanents, like Harbinger of the Seas, like Hull Breacher, and to not rely exclusively on stack interaction because they will gradually overwhelm our stack. This is really good against one-ring decks as well. And the last card I'll mention is the Force of Negation. Gotta have it against the turn 1 combo decks in the meta. So we're going to do a normal length league, full 5 rounds. Leave comments with timestamps if you have feedback on my play. I am new to this specific deck. I've played a lot of URO decks in the past, but MTGO is notoriously like you have to click a lot. And especially with cards like Life from the Loam, you have to click a whole lot. Every single draw, you have to basically decline the Life from the Loam trigger. So we could be going to time, and apologies in advance if we go to time. But I believe that this deck is going to have game against pretty much everything out there. And we're going to be fighting against the clock as much as we are going to be fighting against our opponents. But we are going to Value Town, and we are going to have a grand old time slamming Endurance in front of attacking Delvers, hopefully. Like, I would love to play against at least one tempo deck this league. See you in round 1. Round 1, we're likely up against Painter. On the play, this hand doesn't have a second, like a blue land. I don't keep hands that don't have blue lands. We got the basic forest again, where we're going to mulligan again. Okay, we did get a basic land. I'm going to keep this. I'm not necessarily going to go for the basic land. I'm going to put away force since we've already gone pretty low on cards. And I will be very sad if, yeah, we can put away URO too. It's a little bit farther up the curve. We're keeping a hand filled with interaction. If they are on Painter, this is a great hand. Oh no, Devourer of Destiny. So we're up against Eldrazi. Up against Eldrazi, I think we just basic and ponder. We're not going to be able to surveil, and I don't want to wait. I want to make sure we have a second land lined up. And you might be thinking like, oh, but can't they just exile your land? Yes, they can exile your basics, unfortunately. But we're not going to get that far, hopefully. Okay, 20. Oh, all right. We may not get there. We're already seriously disadvantaged by the fact that we're on the... that we had to mulligan twice with our 21 land deck. But that does happen. We're only playing 3 Wastelands, 1 Savannah, and 1 Forest, and 1 Plains that are not island. So we do have, out of 21, that's 6. So we have 15 initial blue sources in our deck. So what just happened there with double mulligan, that shouldn't happen too many times in this league. That's improbable. Our opponent opted to put a Wasteland in exile, a Blast Zone, and once upon a time they opened Cavernous Souls, of course naming Eldrazi. Not the scariest opening from them, but you know, any opening is scary when you don't have land. Can we get a land? No, but Spell Pierce can potentially do stuff, but it's pretty dead. We're just going to chill. If we get lucky, they cast like a Chalice of the Void or something, we can pierce it. I'm going to pierce this. Okay, they have Eye of Ugin. Flesh Raker. We need white. Oh no. Not like this. Got 19 lands left in the deck. Come on, give us a land. I don't think it was correct to keep mulling. The odds of Ponder whiffing when we had that many lands in the deck, like we got 4 looks, that was also unlikely. Looks like we are getting Sowing Mycospawn. They don't have mana for the kicker currently, but we are getting swarmed. Pretty soon they are going to have mana to activate Eye of Ugin, and they can potentially exile our stuff. This Yavimaya does help us, but again, I think it's likely that we get our land. I have, you know, they got the kicker. This game is over. What a beating. This is turn 3, and they're double Myco-spawning us. Just insane. Okay, but like I'm grateful that it happened this game when it was already a non-game. This would really be frustrating if it was like an actual game that we had a chance of winning. All right, so let's hope for better. Harbinger comes in. Consigns come in. I think those are the only changes we make. Cards that are coming out. Spell Pierce. I think Spell Pierce is pretty terrible against them. Loam. Lock is a legit win con against them. Teferi's not terrible. He is hard to cast. We're not too worried about Chalice when we have 3 of these and a Teferi in our deck. I do think Tamiyo is probably the weakest card. It's very hard to ultimate with her. And she is a 1-drop. I don't want to cut my cantrips just in case we get in a situation like we did last time. We want to draw to as many cantrips as we can. Oh wait, I submitted 61. No, let me undo that. It doesn't look like it's going to let me do that. I should have cut the other Tamiyo. Okay, so due to my little punt there, very small punt, but it does, you know, decrease the chance of us drawing what we need by like about 1%. Okay, this is a keep. It's got lands. That is a low bar to clear, but it has cleared that bar. I think I'm going to go on non-basics this time. And we're just going to open Tamiyo. We have Brainstorm to Flipper. They have the Devourer of Destiny. Because of course they do. They're Eldrazi. Sorry, I'll try not to whine about Eldrazi. Like, the reality is, whining about Eldrazi doesn't change the fact that we have 3 more months before a ban. And I do suspect something's going to get banned out of the deck. But this is not the place for that conversation. Cards in exile. Ancient Tomb, Kozilek's Command, Yavimaya. Putting a K command in exile is, they must need something else. Or they just had an extra K command. Eldrazi Temple. I don't want to pitch this Brainstorm because it flips Tamiyo. And until I flip Tamiyo, she is vulnerable to like K command. Endurance. I do think Endurance is good as a blocker. It doesn't actually change any of the combat. I think one option, this is a good land. I think one option is to go ahead and just attack, and then we can flip her, and then we can Wasteland. We won't be able to have a perfect Brainstorm if we do that, but I think that that's fine. I'm much more high on her doing cool stuff. Oh, wow. I think we need to keep this land around. Maybe Endurance is not necessary. It is a lot of mana. And it doesn't have any impact other than just blocking, hopefully profitably, some of their creatures. So we are going to redraw a card. What is a card we want to hide on top? I think it's probably Plow. I would be sad if they took a Plow because we do need to be able to remove stuff. Because we're basically in defend Tamiyo mode right now. They can get rid of Tamiyo with Devourer. I think Devourer says any colored permanent. But they're several turns away from being able to do that. All right, we're going to pass. Next turn, we have Misty Rainforest to shuffle away the Endurance. We're going to try to draw our deck here. If they Wasteland us, that's great. We actively want them to waste us because it represents time that Tamiyo has to tick up and time before the Devourer of Destiny hits the table. Exile target permanent this one or more colors. Yeah, that can definitely hit her. All right. We're just replaying the previous turn, which is great for us. I'm going to play this out. We do have the ability to either crack a clue here or to Ice-fang Coatl. And Ice-fang Coatl is quite good against their deck because it is a chump blocker to stop them from attacking Tamiyo successfully. I'm going to let this resolve. They're choked on mana right now, not on cards in card selection. If they attempt a Thought-Knot Seer, I'll wait until the Thought-Knot Seer trigger is on the stack, and then I will Plow. We'll draw a card immediately, and then they can choose to exile one of our cards, but we won't have to worry about Thought-Knot Seer attacking us next turn. I think that's more reliable than relying on Ice-fang Coatl to hold down the fort. This Eye of Ugin represents them potentially. Yesterday, I didn't publish this video because it was humiliating, but I had an Eldrazi player do 18 damage to me in a single turn with a single Glaring Fleshraker. They just Kozilek's commanded 3 times in a row and stacked their deck to where they kept finding Kozilek's command and just pinged me 18 times in one. It was terrible. Like, this is definitely, I think, the most powerful deck in the format right now. And I think it's relatively easy to play, and I can see why people are picking it up and playing it. But it's not very fun to play against. And I think what it's going to do is it is going to homogenize the meta a little bit and make it harder to play decks like, Bant Midrange. Sowing Mycospawn. Spawn. That's fine. See whether they go get a Wasteland here. If they do, I'll just Ice-fang so I can block Sowing Mycospawn Spawn and still ultimate. But it's not guaranteed that I'll be able to ultimate because they could K-command and then attack Tamiyo. They decided to go with Cradle here. Petal. Okay, that's good. That means they probably don't have... So I said Cradle, but this is not actually Cradle. This is Yavimaya Cradle of Growth. Wow. They're excelling. They're double Myco-spawning here. This is devastating. And there's frankly nothing I can do about it. I'm going to float a blue. And then we're going to Ice-fang, but I think we lost the game. and keep in mind, we've had Force in our hand the entire time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Ice-fang. We'll see whether they get a Wasteland. If they get a Wasteland, then I'll have to fetch a basic. I probably should have floated green there because I would want to fetch a basic island. But my goal is to Ice-fang this turn and then Plow next turn. Blast Zone. Okay, Blast Zone is something that can destroy Tamiyo before she ultimates. Mycospawn resolves. I'm going to go ahead and fetch, and we're going to hope... I'll just get a Savannah here. I'm not going to get a Savannah. I'm going to get a Tundra. No, it has to be a green source. Yeah, that was a misplay on my part. I'm going to get the Savannah here. Because like basically our entire chance of winning this deck or this game hinges on us plowing one of their creatures and blocking one and still ultimating. Okay, that's not what we wanted to find. It's not bad, but it doesn't address the fact that there's a blast zone about to go off. We had to find Wasteland. Double plow. It's not bad, but sadly, not what we needed. I think what we do is we play out our land. We probably we can pick up the Brainstorm and we can maybe find a Wasteland. We have to use her anyway. Yeah, I'm going to play this out and now I can't Brainstorm because I didn't have access to blue because I didn't float green. I had to get a land with green. Yeah, I mean, I think Tamiyo's a goner, but these cards don't really help. I'm going to put the island back. And I think I put Brainstorm back. It digs less well. And now we can potentially, yeah, we're going to redraw the Brainstorm. Do we want to protect her? I think if they attack, we just let it through and keep the Ice-fang out. I can plow one of them. If they divide their attack, like one on Tamiyo, one on me, then I'll just plow the Tommy one. But I am going to do some damage here. So we have force up and we have double plow. It sucks that Tommy's going to die, but it is if they blow up this, it's a 2-for-1 in the sense that we did get a card back. Wasteland. They're going to force us to choose which one we want to plow here. We'll just plow one and then they can just kill her. All right. And we couldn't afford to play on basics here. We're a 3-color deck. Okay, here comes something big. Devour. Of course, they have plenty of mana for that. Let's see. Yeah, it's crazy that the 4 lands represent 7 mana. All right, and we do have a plow for this. They're down to 2 cards, but we don't have anything on the table. And our lands are still very much in jeopardy from future sowing Myco spawns. So we're going to redraw Brainstorm. I think I want to start... I mean, we have to plow here. We have an island on top, and I kind of think we want that. I think I'm just going to chill, and when they attack, I'll Brainstorm, and then I'll plow. They may just waste us again. Cavern. Force is terrible in this matchup. There's just never been a good window. You could say like, oh, you could have forced the Devourer. Well, we have that covered. It's the effect of these cards that I care about, not the bodies that are residual. That is something we can end. I'm giving them an extra life here, but I want to make sure that they go to attacks. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I am going to Brainstorm just for a momentum. We're going to put back the Force. I don't think it's good. Life from the Loam is actually not terrible. Surprisingly good if we clear this and we clear this. We're taking 3 and we're going to start wasting them. I think that's actually reasonable. And we can put back the island because they've already played their land for turn, right? They played the Cavern. So we know that we can loam and then next turn hit them. So I'm just going to do this. And now I'm just going to go ahead and get a Tundra here. And we're going to plow. As dire as the situation may seem, we are not giving up. We're taking 4 here. We can't loam and hit this. So I think we're going to take 6 next turn, which sucks. But I think we do have to loam and we do have to waste the eye. Otherwise, they're going to be able to tutor. Let's see. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this has to be tapped. They're not that close. So one option is just to end this, but I do need to make a land drop. So I am going to go ahead and cast Loam here. We're going to get back all 3 of these. We don't really need the Savannah at this point. Well, they're exiling. They have the potential to exile our land. Maybe it is correct to grab the Savannah. We have double Ice-fang. I think we should live in the world where we're getting our basics out. Okay, so we get these back. So we have two options. One is to go ahead and waste them off of Eye, because they could just drop another Eldrazi temple and then search, and that would be bad. And then next turn, we can play a land, we can ponder, and we can hit this It That Heralds the End. Are they able to activate this? What are they doing? They're just putting counter on Blast Zone? Oh, K command. Okay. Well, we're dead because they're going to create like 6 spawn tokens here. Yeah, wow. It's just completely destroyed by Eldrazi here. And I don't think this is necessarily a bad Eldrazi match. What I find is it doesn't matter what deck I'm playing. I do just randomly lose to Eldrazi, like having... they just have so many tools. I mean, the deck is like on a completely different power level than everything else in the format right now. So now they have tons of mana. I am glad I hit Eye of Ugin because at least they can't search. But see, we're taking 4, 6, 6. Yeah, I mean, like we're gonna have like 2 life left after everything's said and done. We can't fetch. We do have ways to gain life. Obviously, we have URO. Like URO might actually be the only thing that can save us. But we're gonna have to spend mana killing their stuff. I don't regret the decision I made because like any land and they basically just had more action. Like they had to have K command to immediately kill us, but we were disadvantaged to say the least from the get-go. I'm just going to concede. There's like no hope here, and I want to play more interesting things. I want to be respectful of your time and not have you watch garbage time against Eldrazi. Let's go to round 2. Round 2. We're up against a likely Doomsday player on the draw. Assuming they don't just immediately Dark Ritual Doomsday, this is a fine hand. We have Spell Pierce up, which is good disruption. Yeah, I don't usually aggressively mulligan against Doomsday, but maybe I should because, let's see, they began with 7? Because if they have it, like now the deck is much more turbo. I mean, Jolrael is unlikely to be a relevant card against Doomsday. We do have the ability to create a cat, but I mean, that seems like a modern or even like a pioneer play. I'm going to mulligan this. Okay, this is a force hand. We have paths to basics. We don't need this prismatic ending. It's almost completely dead in the matchup. All right, yeah, I'm very glad I mulligan there. Delta, fetch, island. That's what you'll want to see. Okay, good. They're taking a turn to set up. And they may take several consecutive turns to set up. The thing about Doomsday is they only have 4 Doomsdays in their deck. So 40% chance of seeing it in any given hand. So they do have to dig. Okay, please go for it. All right. So we're going to go ahead and just get our... we're just going to play I'm not going to play a Tamiyo. I'm just going to play this out. And we're going to wait. Because I want to make sure we have 2 points of interaction up. They usually don't plan to play around 2 points of interaction. Just 1. And also this Windswept Heath, they could think we're like D&T or something. We have Surveilland end step. We just have to make it through their sorcery speed stuff. Because that's the danger zone. That's fine. And here comes the Doomsday. Thoughtseize. I think we forced this. And my reasoning is... why would they do that? They could have a second Dark Ritual. Okay, I'm going to force, and I'm going to pitch Ponder, and then we still have Pierce up. My reasoning is, I don't want them to know what's in our hand. I'm not sure. I think they do have a second Dark Ritual because they're going to need 3 black to cast Doomsday. And obviously if we Spell Pierce, they're like, sure, I'll just pay the 2 mana, and now the Thoughtseize resolves, and I'll take your force. Okay, they're forcing here. I do think we go ahead and now we have to Spell Pierce. I'll get a Tundra. Unfortunately, this does mean we're going to lose Tamiyo. Actually, we shouldn't do anything here. We should make them take the Spell Pierce. I should have just gotten the Surveilland. Now they know they need to play around Spell Pierce. It could be that they just have another Dark Ritual and it's not a big deal. They did take the Pierce. Okay, and they do have the Cabal Ritual, and now they're Doomsdaying. Okay, so we weren't going to be able to beat that. That was like a double protected Doomsday. So there is an argument that, okay, they used a pedal for that. They didn't have another black source, But like they're going to draw another Black Source. They can just chill. They chill for one turn and they have their ritual up and then they can Doomsday if they find a land. So I don't think we misplayed there. We did misplay in that we are not getting the Surveil trigger. That's the misplay. Okay, so we get to see their deck. Endurance is not a live draw. I think we're probably going to be dead within a turn cycle. Let's do our BCD FOP. So we've got B for Brainstorm, 1 Brainstorm, 2 Brainstorm, 3 Brainstorm, 4. Okay. C is Cyclers. Consider. Unearth, interesting. 2 Edge of Autumns, 1 Street Wraith, 2 Street Wraith. So they don't have any Cyclers in their deck, and Caverns too. I don't see a Caverns, so they probably have that in their deck, their pile. Their hand is empty, so they have exactly 5 cards. I don't see an LED in here either, by the way. That is something that I think almost everybody now plays LED in their Doomsday pile. Next, it's worth noting they play One Ring, which is pretty common in Turbo. They've got 2 Personal Tutors, which this looks extremely stock. Okay, so now BCD days. They usually play 3 days. 1, 2. Okay, they could have a days in their pile. I don't think that's likely. Am I missing a days? And then could be that it's just on 2 days. I don't think I've ever seen somebody put a days in their pile. But it does make sense considering they have an island there and they don't have cards for force. Now let's count the forces. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now let's count the Oracle. Sometimes they play 2 Oracle. I don't see an Oracle here. And then the last one is Ponder. 1, 2, 3, 3. Wait, am I missing one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, 4 Ponders. Okay, yeah. So we think the likely composition of their deck is 1 Cavern. How many petals? I didn't count petals. I can count petal. 1, 2. Oh yeah, they do have an LED. It's over here. So they're not doing a fast pile. They may pass the turn twice because our hand is so passive. But I suspect they may have a petal, maybe 2 petals, because I only see 2. And then they have like maybe a days, and they have the Cavern, and they have the Oracle. That's my my expectation of what we're up against. Okay. So again, it would be great to Surveil here if I hadn't punted and fetched thinking I was going to Pierce. Spell Pierce. That's not terrible. That stops them from quickly killing us. Unfortunately, we can't both Tamiyo and keep it up, but because they have a slow pile, I'm going to go ahead and just Tamiyo. I don't think they're going to be able to explosively win this turn. I could be wrong. And then we'll have Pierce up for the next turn. Okay, so they're going to fetch. So that means they probably have a land in their deck as well. But I don't think what they're doing beats Endurance. Force. I'm going to go ahead and play this out because we are going to crack it. Create a clue. And we're going to pass. And we'll just draw end step. I didn't count the Thoughtseize. They don't have black. Let's count their Thoughtseize real quick just as a precaution. That might be what's coming. 1, 2. I mean, they could have Thoughtseize in their pile. Okay, this is going to get an Underground Sea probably. Thassa's Oracle with 2 cards in their pile. Let's see if we can find a Plow. Oh wait, they probably have double Oracle. Let's go ahead and draw, see what we can find. If we find a Plow, then we can just plow this and we don't have to use our force. Because they're hellbent. Okay. So I'm going to force here. I'm going to pitch the Spell Pierce, and then we're just going to force again next turn. They could have Cavern. It may be that they just drew one of them before they drew the Cavern. I'm going to attack here. We've got force up. We're going to have a clue activation in case we need to dig for a Plow because they put the Oracle on the stack. But I doubt they have a way to completely clear their pile. If they play Cavern here, nothing we can do about that. I think they probably drew the Oracle and they're just waiting to draw the Cavern next turn. Yeah, let's keep the blue card in hand just in case they don't have a Cavern, but they do have a Cavern. There's no way they don't have a Cavern in their 75. Let's check one more time. I just want to make 100% sure that I'm not missing the Cavern. Okay, very carefully looking here because we can't sort alphabetically. I mean, they do have the Cavern. So this force is going to do nothing. So I am going to play out the Ice-fang. And then we have the clue up next turn. So we're losing nothing, in my humble opinion, by going off of Force of Will. Because they are simply not going to win in a way that we can interact with Force of Will. So this is like the same as a clue, but we're preserving a clue for next turn. It probably shouldn't matter. It's a very minor thing. Okay, Ponder. I'm not actually sure if there's anything that saves us here. Because, yeah, if they've been disciplined about doing it, they built a really disciplined pile. I'll create a clue here. We're not going to be able to waste them or anything like that. We don't have Stifle in our deck. We don't have Dress Down. I think we're just dead. I'm trying to think. Oh, Endurance does it. We do have Endurance mana. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and dig for Endurance. This doesn't have Endurance. We're shuffling. I'm not sure what the other... okay, yeah, let's just go ahead and pass their turn. There's nothing we can do. What we can do... Oh, we can't even get a second green card, unfortunately. Yeah. So we could crack this and we could find it, but it doesn't matter. So their last card is yeah, okay, cool. Yep. So we needed to find Endurance plus green card, or we needed to find Endurance on that Ponder so we'd have the mana to cast it. Okay, I do feel good about this matchup. I think the fact that they had double Ritual was unfortunate. But yeah, there's not a lot that I think we need to do differently here. Hullbreacher can mess up their piles. I think it's worth playing. They are really in on resolving Doomsday, so I think it's fine to bring in Force Negation. We can take out all the Prismatic Endings and we can take out all the Plows. It just never comes up. Like, they might be playing, creatures that are relevant, but we're going to destroy those creatures. Just through, I mean, we can deal with them through Ice-fang. We can deal with them through Teferi. We can outvalue them over the long game. They're not going to win a short game with us, is what I'm saying. I think we can take out a Savannah. I don't like to take out my snow basics just in case we need to get, and I'm definitely not taking out a blue card. Okay, and now we do have room for maybe one of these, and I'll bring in both consigns, and I'll bring one more in just in case. Because they sometimes will play Murktide, and I'm going to take out Jolrael. She just seems super slow in the matchup. I don't think Carpet is super good here. Null Rod can kind of mess up their piles. Like, it shuts off. It does stop the One Ring in addition to... I think it's worth playing. Because it stops their fast mana and it stops the One Ring. And it can... Like, if they build a pile that's relying on Lion's Eye Diamond or something, and then you resolve a Null Rod, that can really slow them down or completely stop them from winning. Are there any other cards we want to take out? I think Life in the Loam is bad. Harbinger... No, I'm not convinced Harbinger is great here. I mean, maybe we do want a single Prismatic Ending in the deck. Yeah, let's run it. By taking out Jolrael and Loam, we did reduce the green cards in our deck. Am I gonna bring Loam back in? It doesn't feel right. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna hope that we find green cards, even though we only have 8-11 in our deck. That's pretty low. Okay, this has Consign, Force, Wasteland, URO. So I think this is a solid hand. I'm gonna keep it. Consign's not good until the end. So I am going to go ahead and open Island Ponder. And what we're looking for is probably Endurance. And White Source wouldn't be terrible. I mean, these are fine. I don't want the Hedge Maze. I do want the Tamiyo, which I'll take now, just as a pitch to force. Our opponent's Kraken. Non-basic. Duress. This is fine. We don't counter these. They see the consign and now they know that they have to play around that. Again, consign does not matter until it comes down to the final trigger that wins the game, the Oracle. And now they know to play around it. I think this is a Tamiyo and Wasteland turn. Their mana is pretty scarce. We are drawing another land though, which is bad. I think I'd rather Surveil than waste here. That could come back to bite us if this was their only land and they're hoping to Doomsday this turn. But we are going to get a Surveil trigger, and then we're going to have Tamiyo to help us draw some more cards. If they don't play a second land, then I'll know that it was a mistake not to waste. They play like 16 land maybe. Okay, there's a Ponder. The waste will still be good next turn. It just won't be as good because they'll have shuffled their, Ponder and found their second land. Okay, they did shuffle. They did find a second land. And what they can do, since they know this consign is in my hand, they can just build a pile with another Durus or a Thoughtseize. Let's Surveil. We are foregoing white mana and getting our Surveil land, but I don't think white mana is particularly important here. Yeah, like we've only got a few cards in our deck that even use white. I don't think they're probably not going to play around double consign. They might build a pile. I think this is above average. Because what they'll do is they'll probably go off thinking, oh, I can just do it once. But like this is uncounterable. Like essentially, once they built their pile and they realize what's happened, it's too late. I'm going to go ahead and attack. Very important that we don't put any spells on the stack that can allow them to bounce this to hand before we fire it off. And we are going to indeed fire it off. It's a mistake to hold it for Cavern. They can just hold the Cavern in hand and play it at the last second. They're going to get a Surveil. Okay, they've got plenty of land. So that Wasteland probably wasn't super effectual, but keep in mind that they actually do need land to like ritual. Plus fine. Pondering again. So I think end step I'm going to crack Clue, and then next turn I am going to URO. It's worth noting that Teferi is in our deck, and it is pretty good. I am thinking that maybe we do want to seeing that they have this land, that there's 3 color. I mean, we saw that last game technically. It does make me think that maybe we do want to. Okay, there's white. Yeah, I'm just going to go URO, and then we'll put the Tundra in. So you always put the escape trigger on stack first, so that this one resolves in case you draw a Stifle, which isn't in our deck. Okay, Endurance. That is a potential answer. So unless they can just win out of nowhere, it is correct to go ahead and play the Tamiyo here. And I don't think they're going to create a line that's vulnerable to consign, knowing that we have a consign in our hand. But we do have to clench through this. So URO can come back, not next turn, but the subsequent turn, unless we draw a fetch. I love when my Doomsday opponent is spending time and resources brainstorming and pondering. Thoughtseize. They're going to see 3 potential answers to their Doomsday pile and have to work around them. I think they're probably going to take Endurance because it's unique. It's worth noting that Consign does technically stop the One Ring, which they probably have 1 copy of in their deck. I'll be very happy if they take a Consign. Okay. All right, so I think we ponder here, and we try to hit a Wasteland. Because that'll fill our yard. I mean, technically we can bring an URO back here. I think it's more important to find a Wasteland to waste them off black. And this also gives us the option of flipping Tamiyo, which I do think is probably worth doing. Because we can use it next turn to regrow. Wasteland, come on. We got 3 in our deck. I don't think this is a keep because if we find Wasteland, it's so good. I mean, these are perfectly fine cards. I don't think the plow matters over the island, so I'm going to anywhere shuffle. There's a general rule of thumb that if you don't like at least 2 of the cards in your ponder, don't keep that ponder. Let's go ahead and crack here, draw. Now we've got Spell Pierce up, 3rd Consign. They have Cabal Therapy. It's going to be a very powerful Cabal Therapy. We're going to plus, we're going to pass. At this point, maybe we do Pierce Dark Ritual. Because next turn we can get back our force. I think we do Pierce this. If this stops them for one turn, okay, they're flustering. Better for them to fluster a Pierce than a Force. Okay, and now they're going to be out of mana, and they're not going to be able to win immediately unless they have a Cycler in hand and they want to do an LED pile. And we're going to be able to get back Force. We can use the Force to stop their discard spell. They'll probably need multiple discard spells. And what they don't know is we have 3 freaking consigns. So there's like no way they're winning through these unless they have like a Cabal Therapy type effect. But unfortunately, URO's probably not going to play a part in this game. I mean, he did draw us a card and gain us some life, which is not consequential, but he did draw us a card. So it was just an expensive cantrip. I think actually he did accelerate our mana development by 1. Best draw on the deck is probably, I mean, I would be tempted to say Wasteland just because it ensures that we're able to cut them off black, but it doesn't ensure that. They're going to build their pile in a way that they have access to black. They don't really need black anymore. They just need blue, but I think they do need black for discard. There are some exotic piles that could be built that could beat us. Actually, I'm not sure. Like if they have Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, I believe is what it's called. That's a static effect. You can't consign that. So that is something that they might have to win. Okay, we're going to do our little mnemonic again. BCD FOP. So Brainstorm, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cyclers. Street Wraith. 1 Edge of Autumn. So they have 1 Edge of Autumn likely in their pile, unless they decided that out for some reason. It's interesting to note they brought in 2 Barragoyfs. Barragoyf is their, and a Shieldred. So that's like their aggro plan. Now Daze. They may have taken Daze out and just brought in Flusterstorm. There's a Daze. 1, 2. Okay. So I think they just played 2 Daze because we saw 2 Daze both games and we didn't see one in their pile. And next, they're basically playing a Fluster in the place of a Daze, which Spell Pierce is better than both of those cards in my humble opinion. Okay. Next, maybe not for Doomsday. F. So we can count the forces. 1, 2, 3. Is that correct? They could have a force in their hand. And then Oracle. I don't see either Oracle in this pile. And then it's usually they have an Oracle in their pile and then they also have the Jace. So I still think they're planning to win through Oracle and not Jace. They could have both. And then Ponders. 1, 2, 3. So I think their hand is Force, Ponder, 1 unknown. We're not going to count the lands. I don't think that's worth the time to try to figure out whether they have fetches. The important thing is they're doing a pass the turn pile. Ice-fang is a draw. I think we just minus here. We can end step Ice-fang. I'm going to minus and get back a force. And we're going to hope that we can... Yeah, I think we just do that. We're not going to beat them through combat. Not with Ice-fang. But we can instep Ice-fang to get deeper into our deck if we need to. Ponder's fine. We're not going to do things that stop them from getting through their deck. Again, like them getting through their deck is our win con. We just need to stop the actual thing that they're going to use. If they do have Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, that's a lot of mana. I think it's like a 4-drop. And I didn't see a Cavern. Oh. I think we force pitching a consign. They force back. We have Ice-fang to potentially draw into another form of interaction. They are going to force this. If they have a blue card. They do. Okay, so now our hope is to draw a Spell Pierce. This will show what we draw. Okay, draw trigger. Snow cover plants. Okay, they're going to name consign and they're going to get both of these. Yeah, this is, I called out specifically Therapy as a card that they could have that would win here. Yep, and they got both of them. So I think we're probably dead. But they are down to 1 card. The card they pitched to force, was it a Thassa's Oracle? So they probably had a 2 Oracle pile. So they have 3 more cards to get through, but they may have some more draw. Actually, bringing back URO makes sense because we may be able to kill them with URO. There's no reason not to attack. And there's no reason not to play out this force we drew. Like, technically, it's concealed information, but I don't care. Like, I want to keep this up. Blue, green, blue. URO comes back. Draw trigger. Looking for Spell Pierce. Another consign is fine. Okay, I am going to put this in. Now we're Daze protected, and we have Spell Pierce. They have to win with Oracle. We can just Daze whatever they use, and then we can attack them. Okay, there's the Cavern. And if they just have it now, we're dead. But I think they did pitch one, so maybe they don't have one in hand. They do have it. That's heartbreaking. That is absolutely heartbreaking. But my opponent played very well. No shame in losing to a really good Doomsday player. Sometimes they've got your number. All right, we're 0-2 starting off. Not great, but I feel like the loss for Eldrazi was unsatisfying, but this loss is satisfying because at least we figured out what our outs were, and I think, I don't really see anything we could have done better. So my qualification for whether I'm having a good time and whether I'm feeling good about a league is not whether I'm winning necessarily. It's whether I'm making what I think are the correct decisions and not punting. And if you have feedback on my play and you're like, oh, you overlooked this possibility, or, you could have done this, please leave feedback with a timestamp. I want to know if I could have done something, but I don't know that we could have done anything differently there. And I would love further insight. I do rewatch these leagues and I try to get fresh perspective, not in the heat of the moment, not trying to, play under time pressure, and just really think deeply about each of these matches. And I hope you do that same thing to yourself, even if it's just watching the replays in MTGO, but kind of making sure that you're playing optimally and that you're not hemorrhaging points a little bit here, a little bit there in terms of making suboptimal decisions. See you in round 3. Round 3, we're up against Storm. On the play, let's take a look. They usually play the Epic Gamble. This is not a deck that really cares about graveyard disruption, but a huge part is putting Echo of Eons in the graveyard. However, you never have a window after Gamble has resolved where you have priority to, get rid of their Echo of Eons. There are some windows where Endurance might be good, but I think in general, you don't want to keep hands that depend on Endurance. Also, they really don't have very many creatures, so Plow is a dead card, so I think we definitely mulligan this. I would like a Force hand or at least a Spell Pierce hand. Let's see whether our opponent mulls, but I think we're definitely mulling this. I don't want to be dependent on Ponder to find me good cards. Prismatic Ending probably doesn't matter in this matchup. They do have a few. They're all mana. Defense Grid is something you want to remove for sure. That's a reason to have Prismatic Ending, but I feel like this is way too much land. They kept 7. They're almost certainly on this. They've always historically played this. They could be on a different Storm deck, but it's almost certainly Storm. This is a Spell Pierce hand, double Spell Pierce with a Wasteland. Let's see. I don't even know whether the Epic Gamble plays a lot of wastable lands. They do play Volk. They don't have a lot of lands total, 9 plus 2 Bolt lands. So the Wasteland may be consequential. I am going to keep it. The card that's going to go back is URO, and I hate to say it, but I think Ponder goes back just because we can stop multiple volleys. We don't currently have a way to get rid of a defense grid, though, other than to pierce it, which piercing it will probably work. I think I'm going to put back the ending. Yep. And now we can just start and we'll just chill with fetch. And it doesn't matter what color. We usually want to be getting our Surveil land. Green is a more important color in the deck than white is. So that's the color I chose for the Surveil land. And you could go up to 2 Surveillance, but I think 1 is fine because we have Pierce and other cards that we need to hold up mana for. That may actually be an argument for going up to 2 because you're frequently like holding up mana till the end of end step. So maybe we should be playing both an Archive and a Hedge Maze. Our opponent is most likely doing math. All right, we've got movement. They're Lotus Pedaling, which is fine. Bright of Flame. I'm going to let this resolve. Again, there is a risk here. But in my experience, like you almost always want to go for like the big spell at the end of the cantrip or at the end of the ritual chain. I do think this is kind of a 2-for-1. I'm going to pierce this. They're on Ruby Storm, by the way. Like Ren's Resolve is not a gamble. And against Ruby Storm, you generally want to just stop their spells that get them a lot of cards. If they're on this, I do think Prismatic Ending is slightly better than normal, but I still think we choose Trop. It just casts a lot more of our spells. Yeah, I'm going to take the Trop here, and we're going to pierce. And we're probably going to have to pierce 2 turns in a row. They could have another right in hand, and they can just cast it to produce mana. Okay, we stopped it. So another blue source would be great. I think we ponder to find a blue source, and then we have Spell Pierce back up. We didn't get there. Any order shuffle? Okay, that sucks. That's really unlikely, but it does happen. 4 looks when we had 19 land still in the deck, 18 land. All right, this might just be, a Desperate Ritual. Yeah, I would have liked to stop that. Rawl, okay. Yeah, that is a creature that can be plowed later if they don't go off now. Manamorphose, okay. Do they flip? Storm is 2. 3. Draw. Hopefully they break. I don't think they can break. I think everything in their deck is like 2 mana to cast. So they may be able to Reckless. Okay, Artist's Talent. Let's read this. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Non-creature spells cost 1 less. Okay, so this is kind of like maybe better than Ruby Medallion. Source you control. Okay, I don't think they're going to level this up beyond. They have to pay to get the mana reduction. This is like tailor-made for Ruby Storm. This goes right into Ruby Storm. Okay, they're passing. That's great. So even though we didn't get to... there's a Prismatic Ending. If only we had... yeah, I mean, we do have Spell Pierce up. It's not the end of the world, but it's not a good situation. I'll be surprised if they attack. They might attack. So whenever they cast any spell, they get a discard. I'm going to pierce anything they put on this stack. I'm going to wait until after they have flipped. They lost the flip. They lost a life. Now they can draw and discard a card, and then I'm going to hit the Ren's Run. Or the Ren's Resolve. I'm used to saying Ren's Run because like Ren's Run, Vanquishers, and stuff like that. All right, we're going to stop the card advantage engine. This is why Spell Pierce is so good. It's like so much better to pierce than to force. Okay, and they had the land, but they still wouldn't have been able to do anything. Okay, they are attacking for 1, which reduces the amount of storm they need to win later. Endurance doesn't help us. We're chilling. We are chilling. And Spell Pierce is looking worse each turn. If they have one more turn, they can actually level this up. Yeah, Endurance doesn't do anything against their deck, I don't think. I don't think they ever use their graveyard for anything. Well, they use Rite of Flame, of course. Let's see if... Is Rite of Flame a cast trigger? No, this is upon resolution, so we might have to Endurance to like reduce the amount of mana they get from a Rite of Flame at some point. That would be an absolute desperate play. A desperate ritual, one might say. Oh, if they get, what's it called? Past in Flames. Endurance is good against that. They're coming in for a hug. I would love to slam this Teferi. That would feel so good. Drawing a card and bouncing that talent back to hand. Okay. So they are going to get the trigger here. And we're going to let the right itself resolve. Well, we'll see. If they draw and discard, they could be doing so with the assumption that Rite of Flame is going to resolve. It does give them 3 mana. They didn't discard, which tells me they have something that they want to cast. It's almost certainly a non-creature spell, so they're going to get 3 red. I mean, the conservative thing to do is just to go ahead and pierce this. Yeah, I mean, we run a risk that they just have like Ren's Run Resolve and they can pay for it because they'll have 4 mana. Ren's Resolve. All right, can I get a land, please? Hedge Maze. Okay, that is a land, but we're vulnerable next turn. I do want that land. So next turn we're Teferi, and then the subsequent turns we can ending. I don't think it's worth ending either of these permanents right now. I think we need momentum first. It is worth noting that Teferi... I'm not sure if they have anything that they... I'm not sure if Teferi actually locks down anything in their deck because almost everything's sorcery speed. One problem with playing Teferi out is they can recast the Raj and then they can just attack Teferi, but I mean that's like a kind of like an effective time walk. And we'll draw a card, and it might be a card that we can pitch cast Endurance with. I'm just glad we're drawing lands finally. Okay, 3 mountains. Here comes another one. Oh, they're just leveling it up. Yeah, that's fine. So this doesn't affect anything this turn, I don't think, and I'll just bounce this out of play. But in bouncing it out of play, we undo the work that they've done, but we do give Raj open license to kill Teferi. I think that's okay. I don't expect Teferi to do a lot here. We'll keep a blue up just in case we draw. Oh, we've already drawn all our Spell Pierces. We're getting the MTGO spinner. Okay, we're in. White, blue, colorless. Yeah, I'm okay with losing Teferi here. I mean, if you think about it though, Teferi. So this is very easy for them to redeploy. Yeah, I think we get rid of Teferi and we slow them down a lot. Okay, second Endurance. These will be great to ambush Raj during following attacks because they're probably just not expecting it. And then we can save our Prismatic Ending for the class itself. They have a lot of mana this turn. Okay, there's the talent. Okay, they're immediately leveling it. So Teferi was basically just like a time walk. All right. If we draw land, we can actually hit. We can't do that. I think what we need to do is just hold up Endurance and hope to kill him with it. I mean, we could kill this now. I think actually that is the correct play, is just kill this now and take another hit because this does enable a lot of stuff. And I'm not worried about Raj because they have one card. They've got 2 cards basically. It'll be hard to get high enough storm for him to, unless they can really change some stuff. But they do have a lot of mana now. Okay, looks like they're just going to attack. I mean, it makes sense to attack first and then do stuff if you're going to hope to flip Raj. All right. We're now holding up both Raj, both Force and Endurance. I think we just pass. I think what I'm going to do during combat is he doesn't have that many lands that I can likely hit my opponent, unrealistic. So I think we do hit that now. Now we Endurance. They probably don't have enough instants to likely flip Raj. So I can get rid of their graveyard. This reduces the impact of future Rite of Flames. Now we go to block and we can kill Raj. They've got 3 cards in hand. They have 3 mana, but they don't have like this card, which... Oh, they have another one. That's fine. I don't have a Mystic Sanctuary in my deck. I chose not to get it because I had a lot of non-islands. Okay, Brainstorm. I think Brainstorm's fine here. Because we're likely to find a blue card. Okay, this is great. So I think we do go ahead and put back the other Endurance. And we can put back a Ponder. And I guess we can just URO. And then we still have Force up. Let's get another Tundra here. Green. Blue. Okay, that is a great rip. Prismatic Ending. URO dies. I am going to go ahead and start attacking. I think it's extremely unlikely that they block. And once URO comes back, this game's going to end pretty quickly. We're going to outcard advantage them pretty quickly. I will force a 2-for-1 type card just because I've got URO coming. So like a Ren's Resolve type card. Jeska's Will. They're exiling cards. Yeah, that's a force. That's an easy force. Let's let this resolve first. They're not going to transform them, I don't believe. Okay, yeah, and then this is the force. Okay. And now Uro comes down. I think we ignore Raj for a turn. Unless we happen to draw a land, then we can exile him. Okay, we did draw a land. I do think that we want to keep up the potential for white. We have Savannah if we need it. So I'm going to go green, green, blue, blue. Let's bring back Uro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw trigger. Oh, we did get another land. Okay, we can get rid of Raj now. I'm going to get a Savannah and a Trop. I'm just going to assume that like basics don't matter here. Maximize color selection. Exile Raj, you have 2 cards and 3 lands. And I have an active Uro. And you're on a 3 turn clock. But I am Hellbent. Burning Wish. Okay, this will be interesting to see what they can get. Rite of Flame. Interesting. Okay. That is not the card I would have expected them to get, but maybe they have some crazy Windmill Slam card. Let's go ahead and attack first. Not going to put a land in play. I'm just going to chill with Hardcast Force Up and Brainstorm. They have to win this turn through Force and through Brainstorm potentially finding... It wouldn't be able to find another Force. We'll let that resolve. Metamorphose is fine. Seething Song's fine. They could have that dragon thing. Maybe I should have looked out for that. Okay. Yeah, they create some dragons. I can force one of these copies. I think I force one, and then I can just attack in and keep bringing Uro back, and I think I can beat this. Oops. Okay. So the dragons do have prowess. They don't have anything else going on. You could argue, oh, you shouldn't have done that. But like usually they don't have that in hand. They have it in, that's their Burning Wish target. Let's go ahead and start by attacking with Uro. We're going to gain some life. We're going to draw some cards. They're going to double block. I'm not attacking with Endurance because they could block that and they could also double block. Actually, you know what? I punted here because I could have brainstormed and found a Prismatic Ending and one, and then I would have had a guaranteed lethal attack. No, it wouldn't have been guaranteed because they could have just won and won. But I did punt there. I should have definitely brainstormed to try to find something first. I don't need this land. I'm going to hold it, and we're going to brainstorm it back. Okay, they are doing what I expected them to do. It's fine. I could have, potentially found something and brought him back, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to bring him back now. So we get another trigger. If they attack, we have Ice-fang Coatl as well to block. I don't think there's any reason to put the land in. Jessica's Will is a reason, actually, because they could like Jessica's Will here and get extra cards because we have more cards, but they wouldn't be doing it for mana. They're going to need business. Okay, and they're not doing anything in the end step. I mean, it's amazing this game is still going on, but it's going to be over soon. Okay. I think I am going to go ahead and try to find a removal spell. We didn't find a removal spell. I don't need these lands. We might be able to find it off of... I'll shuffle first. Let's ponder. This is a shuffle. She is not super useful here. I think we just attack again, and then we can bring Uro back yet again. We're just going to keep these back just to ensure we don't die. Okay, they're double blocking again. That's fine. Next turn, they're definitely dead. Let's just bring them back. Next turn, they're definitely dead because of Plow. If they don't somehow go off with 2 cards. Just going to end this and swing in. They're kind of like playing to the clock, I guess. Just trying to drain my time. It does take a long time to win with Uro in your deck. I'm going to take out Life from the Loam for sure, because that takes up a lot of clock too. Endurance stays in the deck. It is potentially relevant. Force comes in. Hydroblast comes in. I don't think Hull Breacher comes in. Hull Breacher actually doesn't stop most of the scary things they're doing because they're not drawing cards. Wrath is not good against them. No Rod doesn't do anything. They don't have artifacts in their deck, I don't think, at all. Consign does stop Storm. I think that's all it does. I don't think we bring Consign in. So Prismatic Ending is okay. It can hit all their creatures. I think Plow's not good. I think we just cut the Plow. I'm going to cut the Loam, as I said. Jolrael isn't necessarily bad. It's not at its best against combo. I think we could bring in... No, I think we keep a Plow just as an answer to their rare but occasional creatures. Wrath of the Skies would clean up like tokens if they do like a dragon attack. It can't clean up the raw planeswalker if he's flipped. Let's just do it like this. I'm trying to see if there's anything else we want to cut. I don't think there is. We could go down a land. They're not interacting with our land, so I usually cut Savannah in that situation. And then we'll bring in... Hull Breacher is a beater, and they do have a few cards that draw cards. I think it's better than average. It's a blue card that pitches to force. This is double Pierce Hand on the draw with Prismatic Ending. URO. Wasteland is unlikely to disrupt. I think we can do better. We've got 3 blasts. This is better for sure. I'm going to put back a land. We're likely to draw more lands. Because, she might come out and actually kind of help aggro them a little quicker. She's also a green card that pitches to Endurance, which we have 4 of. Hydroblast is a great draw. Okay, I'm going to be patient here, and I'm just going to keep up. Well, they may not have a critical turn here. It may make sense to go ahead and get Tamiyo on the table. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and put Tamiyo on the table. I do have Force if they start to do anything too crazy, but usually their critical turn is turn 3. Okay, 3 mana. Manamorphose is fine. Raj is fine. Manamorphose again. Oh, I think this might be a 2-for-1 here. Pierce is definitely decreasing in value. Let's see whether Raj flips. I don't think they want Raj to flip here. I think this is a force, and my reasoning is next turn we're going to have a lot more stuff up. And this does stop the momentum completely for this turn cycle. Okay. Now we have Hydroblast, which is the best card in our deck against them. Endurance is fine. I'm just going to attack, create a clue, and pass with clue activation up and surveil up. If we need to Hydroblast something, we can still surveil. And then next turn we can play Jolrael, and if our hand is spent, we're going to wait till our hand is spent before we play her though. Burning Wish. In my humble opinion, this is like a perfectly legitimate target. I think I'm going to hit it. Because the thing is, this can get Storm cards, and those can't necessarily be interacted with. They may very well have a Hydroblast. Okay, they did have more stuff. They have another Burning Wish. Okay. They flip him. All right, he's got 4. Let's see, deals 2 damage as you choose among 2 targets. Draw a card if you control a blue permanent. Okay. Costs you 1 less to cast. Okay. So he's quite a few turns from going off. But they did opt to flip him. I love that art. He looks very exuberant. Look at him. He's like having the time of his life. We've got 8 minutes to win 1 more game. So if they start going off, I am going to scoop aggressively. Okay. Plus. All right. And we can surveil. We are going to be able to put the pressure on him if we can find another land for Endurance. I think we keep that land. Yeah, I'm going to keep it. Because I do like the idea of being able to cast Endurance. And we need land for clues. So if we Jolrael now, we can't do anything. We don't immediately draw a card or anything like that. So I think we just chill for a turn. And we have Endurance up as a surprise. And I will put Endurance in the end step. Endurance is not terrible because it does reduce the number of things that can flash back later if they do Past in Flames. Another Raj. That's fine. So now their stuff is a lot less expensive. Yeah, if I get Endurance in now, then I can attack, they'll chump, And I can still hit Raj before he goes off. I think that's important. If I draw a land, then I can Jolrael and create a bear. Are they going to let me connect? They are. Oh, it's worth noting that this can kill her if it minuses. Maybe I don't want to play her. I just want to keep double clue activation up. Maybe I just want to go ahead and activate anyway, because then I can get... they could start pinging her. I think it's fine to go ahead and activate again and plus her. This stops Jolrael from being able to attack her. Like, they can ping her, but yeah. Okay, she's going to plus, and they would have to minus if they want to stop her. They'd have to minus, and they'd also have to hit her with something else. But my shields are down right now. Inspired Tinkering. Exile the top 3 cards of your until the next turn. You may play these. Create 3 treasure tokens. That's pretty good. It's a lot of mana, but these treasure tokens can be used for a lot. I think we're like maybe 10% to win now, because they did reveal double Reckless Impulse effect. And they can cast those. They can cast both of those. And they have treasure too. So yeah, they're probably going to go off here. I don't want to F6 because I don't want them to know I don't have force, but maybe I should F6. I think I'm going to F6. I think they could reasonably ascertain that, okay, now bonus round resolves. I'm just going to F6, recoup some clock, but we're dead. They're almost certainly going to win here. And I don't think we did anything wrong. Like, we just, maybe it was a mistake to force that card that we forced the first turn. I think it was a Metamorphose, because we would have had, eventually we would have had to pitch something to the force. Inspiring Tinkering would be a good card to force, but there were several other cards that they cast before it that would probably have also been force worthy. So I think Raj is going to flip and they're going to ultimate here. I'm just going to let you know once they're done. My opponent has 4 Burning Wishes on the stack here, thanks to their bonus rounds. 3, rather. And they still haven't flipped their Raj. So, yeah, just watching them go hog wild. They grab Rite of Flame. They grab Jessica's Will. They're going to have tons of mana. We're going to see some serious fireworks here. Oh, and Raj flips. We can see what they rip here. They're not even bothering Rajing. They don't need to. Okay, they Fiery Confluence. Interesting. That's still not a win con. That just does... Wait. Oh, that is a win con. When you do it 3 times, I guess. Because you can do 6 damage. Yeah. Okay, so we did kind of even out the clocks. They're 2 minutes ahead of us. But we're going to have to play quickly for this final one. I still haven't seen any creatures other than Raj, who dies to Prismatic Ending. Consign can't stop bonus round triggers. It is a blue card. I think it's probably better than Plow. I think that's it. Still haven't seen any reason to bring in Wrath. Prismatic Ending is good in that it deals with both that skill thing, the school lesson. I can't remember what it's called. And with Raj. So I'll keep that, but I'm not going to keep the Plow. Jolrael being 2 toughness and dying to Raj's minus is noteworthy. This is a snap keep. So I'm just going to open Tamiyo. We haven't seen any non-basic hate in their deck, so I'm just going to go ahead and stay on non-basics. 5 minutes 30 on the clock. Ancient Tomb, doing us some favors here. Rumi Medallion is fine, I'll just end it. So it is in the deck. Reckless Impulse, I'm going to let this resolve. They have 5 cards in hand. I think mana is the gate here. They double mountained. Okay, I'm really glad I let that resolve. My goodness, that's like the best possible. Okay, I'm going to attack and then I'm going to flip. We don't have a fetch currently. Oh no, client, come on, don't do this to me, MTGO. Don't give me the spinner when I've got this little time left. I've got a really fast connection. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'll just use this. There's nothing to Prismatic Ending. Let's go ahead and flip. Okay, Hull Breacher is potentially good. It's a blue card at the very least. I'll put back Ice-fang Coatl, I think is the least useful. Okay, flips. We'll play this out. I'm going to plus. I am going to pass with interaction up, including clue cracking. Soon we'll be up to Hardcast Force Negation. I am hoping that we can surprise and delight with Holt Breacher. It feels so good to have somebody Holt Breach you. I think we let this happen. Okay, they got a Seedling Song and an Artist Talent that they can't cast. Well, they can Artist Talent here. I think this is fine. They have lots of... Oh, this is card selection. Yeah, I'm going to go after the actual like key spells. I grab another green source. Let's crack a clue. Drawing our deck is definitely a way to win. We have a lot of interaction up. I'm just going to pass with a lot of interaction up. We could ponder for a land. I think that's safe. We didn't find a land, interestingly. Well, I'm going to shuffle and try to find it. Okay, we didn't get one. We could put this out. I think it's probably less impact. Well, it is a potential clock. Yeah, and we're not going to be using the blue cards for anything. You might argue this is loose. I do want to kill them. We have double interaction up. They have 6 cards in hand. I will definitely use interaction spells this turn because I can buy them back with Tamiyo if I decide not to ultimate. And I'm most likely going to be doing that. Raj. I mean, this is something that is probably worth countering. Just pitch Consign, I think. It costs mana. Then we'll pitch Ice-fang Coatl and we'll keep Hull Breacher around. Just because it hits for 3. If they cast this, I'm not going to force that. This is fine. They get a... oh, you know what? This is discard a card and draw a card. So this is going to be affected by Hull Breacher. And that is probably a reason that I should have just held Hull Breacher instead of pondering. Because I could have, potentially sniped value off that. So, learning. They're leveling it up. This might mean they're about to pass. Here's the Seedling Song. We negate this. They can't do anything else for the turn. And we have a lot that we can do next turn. I think we let this go. And this is so much mana. I think I'm going to negate it. Okay. I'm going to probably want to buy back a force here. Maybe force a negation. Land. I am going to buy back... I can buy back Brainstorm. I can actually cast Brainstorm, unlike these other cards. I'm going to get a force. It's just generically useful. Now we'll go to combat. I'm not going to attack because I am going to try to do the trick where I snipe a card off of Artist Talent. However, that will be taking me out of force. I feel like our path to victory is very much just sealing off their draws. If they had that one card that creates a whole bunch of treasures, that's going to be backbreaking. Because that's cards and treasure. I think I'm going to do this. This is the last spell we're going to cast this game if we're wrong. Oh wait. Actually, we will have a treasure. Now they just don't discard. But if they do discard and we wouldn't create the treasure. They're not going to discard. Okay. So we're not going to create a treasure probably, so we're not going to be able to really do anything here. They've got a ton of mana floating. What's this? If this is the dragon card, I'm ready to be able to deal with that. 1 minute, 50 seconds. Leveling this up. Oh, no, they're just doing random resolve with lots of mana floating. We have Surveil. Oh, they've got even more mana floating. So much mana. If they have a big storm card, payout card at the end of this chain, we're pretty screwed. Because they'll have so many dragons, we won't be able to stop them all. And I'm not F6ing just because it only takes a second to pass priority, and I may want to, if they do somehow give me a card, like if they cast whatever it's called, I do need to be able to draw a card so I can get forced back up. They may cast it for Storm. Metamorphose. Wish. Okay. Now they can get the Storm card, and I think we're dead. Yeah, the decision to play Hull Breacher there was probably critical. I mean, it's hard to know. We denied them so many draws, but not having the mana to be able to crack the clue here. It's also possible that I did need to get the Brainstorm back, but there's no world in which they don't get Inspired Tinkering. Okay. They can exile 3 more cards. So they effectively have a pretty big hand here. They exile the Burning Wish. They have the mana. They can just go get that card. I'm not even sure if they've used the Wish ability. They can cast anything from their sideboard here. We don't have Wrath of the Skies, which would be really good here, obviously. I didn't board it in. Fiery Confluence. They're Burning Wishing again. They have the mana and spells are cheaper. So maybe... Oh, wait. If they level this up again, deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent, it deals that much +2. So they could level this up and their Fiery Confluence could probably kill us. They do need a lot of mana to do that. I'm kind of surprised they went the Fiery Confluence route, but they do have 8 mana right now. They chose Elemental Eruption. It costs 6 mana, but they have the treasure token, so we're dead. I just want to see if they make a mistake somehow. Fiery Confluence. They're probably going to... Okay, they wipe out our creatures. Now they can Elemental Eruption as well. All right, they get a ton. No world in which we beat this. Yeah, I'm just going to concede. Like, there's nothing we can draw. We didn't... I don't think it's correct to bring in Wrath of the Skies. It's just not that impactful of a card. It's almost always going to be a 1-for-1. And it costs a lot of mana, which means it can only be used late in the game. So yeah, we're not off to a great start. We're 0-3, but we're putting up a fight. I think this game, I'm less proud of my play than I am in the other two, even though we lost all 3 games. I feel like that final game, there might have been some path through. Definitely feeling the lack of Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is a card you get access to in black, and it's really good against combo. And we've played against combo 2 of the 3 rounds. Thoughtseize is not good against Eldrazi, but it is pretty good against Ruby Storm. Round 4, we're up against likely Mystic Forge combo. The hand that I think is too slow. They've already chosen a mulligan. I'm going to mulligan. This seems a lot better. I think we probably put back one of the Wastelands. I mean, wasting them once is fine, but they have lots of artifact mana sources as well. Ice-fang is probably our pitch to force. I mean, there could be some situation where wasting them twice in a row is good. If they have Urza Saga. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to plan to double waste and hope to disrupt them that way. They did mold to 6. Okay, they're not on Mystic Forge, even though this is their history. Like pretty much always Mystic Forge. Thoughtseize. I'm going to let this happen. Probably on some other combo deck. It's worth noting that if they look me up, they'll probably think that I'm on the bug control list that I was on previously. Based on this hand. All right, so this is tempo negative, but we're going to do it. Still no idea what they're on. We're just hoping to cheese them. Bloodstained Mire gives me Reanimator vibes. We're going to show the land that they've seen. We'll pass. We have Surveil up. We have Daze Protection for our Force, but they know we have Force. Surveilling. Getting the Undercity Sewer. Ponder's fine. They're probably looking for a land, knowing that I'm about to waste them. This is where like a really gutsy player might force, but I am not that gutsy. If they shuffle, I'll be very happy. They did not, so they did find a land. All right, we're still going to waste them. Probably going to get another Underground Sea. Tamiyo. I think Tamiyo's fine. Tamiyo's not going to help them get out of their wastelock situation. I do want my Surveil, and I do want my Ice-fang next turn. Spell Pierce is probably pretty good, considering how lean they are right now. I'm going to do the Underground Sea because if they have to pick up a land, I want it to be painful. They do have a land. Okay, they're going to combat. They may flip her. If they flip her, I have Prismatic Ending. It's not the worst. But they may not have more lands to crack clues, so it would make sense to flip her if they're able to. If they flip her, I'll probably let it happen. Actually, this is a cantrip. So I'm denying them a flip, and I'm also denying them the ability to select. I think we pitch Ice-fang here. They know about it. They don't know about Pierce. If they daze here as a blowout, okay. We stopped it. So we just have to hope they don't find us yet another land so they can start cracking clues. I want to play this out because I know they can't disrupt it. And then I do have Pierce up. Actually, there's no reason that I couldn't have played out the fetch there. If they have a land, we're really far behind. They don't have a land. Okay, good. Well, they haven't played it yet. But the general heuristic is you play a land before you attack just to maximize your options. So if this game goes on long, and it probably will, then those clues are consequential. I think I'm going to Pierce this. It's just a 1-for-1 at a time when we do want to disrupt them. Okay. They probably don't play that many lands in their deck. We're not even really sure what they're playing, but I imagine they do have lots of things they could be doing if they find land. We haven't seen any indication they're Reanimator. They may just be straight blue-black tempo. Reanimator doesn't generally play Tamiyo these days. Next turn, I'm very excited about this URO. Especially if they don't have land for Bowmaster. Nethergoyf, okay, it's just blue-black. And I think we're pretty favored against them. I said in the deck tech that I wanted to be going up against Delver, and now we're going up kind of Delver. Okay, Brainstorm. I am going to go ahead and just jam this out here. I'm going to get a Trop, and I am going to get a Savannah. Just so they can't waste me off of green at all. And the best draw is definitely a Wasteland. That's an unlikely draw, but it would be amazing. I'll take any land here. Okay, if we get to use this plow, it's going to be really powerful. If they find a waste for our white source, we're going to have to desperately brainstorm, but we do have a few turns before we die. The worst thing that could happen is they draw a land and they can start cracking clues. Okay, they did that. All right, coming in for a double hug, dropping a 16. If we get URO out of the yard, it's not a big deal anymore because URO just takes over the game. They can't really deal with it long term. I think I'm going to go ahead and just do this. See how they react. Yeah, I'm going to hit that for sure. And now I'm going to pass. And if they go for Bowmasters, I'll Brainstorm. That is definitely something they could have here. Okay, they're fetching. Yeah, I just don't want to fetch into a Brainstorm here or a Bowmaster. Okay, this is fine. I'm going to chill. I'm not going to use this opportunity to Brainstorm. It's possible. They just drew one card. You know, it's not the end of the world. Okay, they've got yet another clue. We definitely want to, like, finding Life on Loan would be insane here because we could double waste them. Endurance is pretty good. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to Brainstorm to try to find land, and then I can Plow if they attempt a Bowmaster. They have a force for this. Is pretty brutal. Okay. All right, Wasteland is great. I think Endurance is awesome too. But I think what I'm doing now is just wasting. I'll tuck both these Endurances on top because I don't want them to get Thoughtseized. All right, and we're going to just take a hug for one. They're going to have lots of clues. Next turn, we can Endurance around Daze. Okay, they did have another land. They may actually go fetch a basic finally. That's what I would do here. All right. I think it's worth to hold up Endurance, and because double Endurance will be backbreaking for them. We can try to snag Tamiyo. That'll force her to flip. All right, they're coming through. They create the clue. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this. Endurance. They can force. They can double Daze. If they do, I've got another one, and I will clear that graveyard out just to reduce, things they can do in the future. They don't have me under a lot of pressure, so I can just be patient and wait and draw the next Endurance and then do it. But if they Daze, I will pay. I'll make them use the double Daze and reset their lands. And after I do that, then I should be able to get URO out. It may take a couple attempts, but I will try to get them out. If my opponent cracks a clue, then that means they're probably desperately digging. They are dazing here. I am going to pay for it. I think they're likely to daze a second time here. Let's go ahead and complete our mana base. Okay, it's in. Interesting decision. Let's hit them. They may have like some sort of removal spell, because technically they did turn on Revolt. That's fine. That's a 2-for-1. They get a clue. They can replay their land. All right. They may have another daze. Best draw is probably a land just for that reason. I'm going to go ahead and go for URO. If they have daze, I mean, it's like a 2-for-1 kind of, because it's just coming out of our graveyard. Okay. They're cracking a clue. Okay. They're forcing. So it's like a 3-for-1 basically. Okay. This does mean that they're going to have another turn to draw with clues and stuff. But I'm going to keep trying. I've got like 3 more attempts. Unless they find a Wasteland. If they find a Wasteland, then they can stop us from being able to do this. Just go after the green. We do have one more trop in our deck. And we have a basic forest. All right. We're just going to do it again. Actually, I'm going to loam. Okay, they are thinking about doing something here. That's fine. I am going to waste them. I think they have Bowmaster in hand, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to be able to hit all their lanes. And then I can go ahead and hit this one. Okay, they're floating. Are they going to daze their own spell? That's fine. I'm going to play a Tamiyo out just to block and soak up some damage. I don't really care about what I'm doing with this because the big spell is the URO. But they could tempo me out, potentially, if they waste me at the right time. But we have stopped them from drawing from clues until they draw another land. 3 cards in hand. Now Spell Bomb's pretty bad for us, but we are going to waste them off all their lands. That's fine. They're doing it so that just to get rid of our URO, basically. They get rid of our loam in the process, but we're going to be able to waste them. I'll just block the Orc Army. They've got so many clues, but Nari, a land to cash them in with. All right, so we just took 1 there. Ice-fang's great. Actually, it's not great. I'm going to hit their land, and I'm just going to chill and block another turn. I don't want to be drawing cards and growing their army. All right. We still got lots of turns of life left, and we're going to gain life from URO once we find him. So I do think we're winning. It's just a question of how soon we can win and how much time we have on the clock. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'd love to put a URO in the graveyard. I don't want that. I'm going to continue to just be patient and take 1 each turn. Scariest thing they can do is draw land. They don't have any way to manipulate what they draw. All right, Prismatic Ending. Let's do it. Now let's go ahead and green, blue, Ice-fang, draw trigger. Endurance is a great rep. I think I'm going to go ahead and flip Tamiyo here. I'm going to go ahead and get a forest. Draw trigger. Second endurance. Definitely game. It's just I have to end the game. I can just trade. No, I can't trade with the Orc Army. It's fine. She'll lose the loyalty. Okay, they did find a Wasteland. Plus, I'm just going to chill. I'm going to drop the endurance, but I have force up in case I need it. If they force, that's fine. Okay, brainstorming. This is fine. They want to flip their Tamiyo. Go for it. I think at this point they're probably putting back days. I'd be stunned if they kept a days. I can just regrow the Prismatic Ending and kill their Tamiyo next turn. I think that's fine. I am going to go ahead and do this. We're keeping time parity with them. We're not like falling behind or anything. This is like a very favorable matchup though, I think. They're going to plus here, which is fine. And I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going to end it. Okay, they're scooping. All right. That was a little touch and go, but Wasteland was very good there, needless to say. And our opponent stubbornly refusing to fetch their swamp and their island early on. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Postboard, Hull Breacher, pretty good against the deck that draws a lot of cards. They do draw a lot of cards. Wrath does clean up a lot of permanents. I mean, it would clean up all the clues. I think it's probably worth bringing in. It might be like a win more type card. Maybe we don't bring it in because we're going to bring in these carpets for sure. Cards that come out. Teferi is pretty bad against Bowmasters. I'm just not convinced that she's great. I mean, maybe she is okay. She just feels like win more. Like if you're in a position to actually cast her, yeah, I wanted her to be good, but I mean, she does turn the corner. We can take out Spell Pierce. I don't think we take out more than one Spell Pierce though. Yeah, I think we can run it like this. Everything else looks really good. Hull Breacher is so powerful that if we catch like even a single treasure token, it can like tilt the game in our favor because they're trying to deny us resources. And yeah, these are all really good cards against them. Definitely an advantage of this type of Bant deck is that you can play Wasteland and not be completely color screwed. Like you can play one of each basic and you can play Wasteland. You can't do that when you're doing a 4 or 5 color pile. But when you have URO in your deck, you really do need Wasteland because Karakas just completely cramps your style. All right, we're in a pretty close game time-wise, and my opponent just decided to let like an entire minute and a half burn off their clock. I'm going to keep this. This is snap keep. I love the abundance of lands. Force is not a great card in the matchup. Now Spell Bomb, not a big deal against us. I can actually bait Wastelands by... I don't need the Force anymore. It's already in my hand. I can bait Wastelands by fetching a Surveil here. Somebody's got Bowmasters. That's my read anyway. Let's go get our Surveil. It's worth noting that they could bring in Harbinger of the Sea. Yeah, I don't want that. You don't want to card disadvantage yourself in this matchup. The Forces could arguably even come out. I think we do this. We can get a basic island. Maybe I'll get a basic plains to just plow. I think I'm just going to do that. I don't want to deal with this card. And I want to minimize the likelihood that they can... Oh, I didn't have an end step stop. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm going to go ahead and fetch a plains. And I'm going to attempt to plow here. This is the must-kill creature in the deck. Now I'm going to pick a blue. Doesn't really matter. We did successfully bait out their Force. And their Bowmaster generated very little value. So I think we're doing okay. I am a little bit worried about only having a single island. And the way they're playing makes me think they may have another Bowmaster waiting in the wings. That would be a strong keep against us. Okay, now we have a second blue source. I think it's fine to just play it out. Yeah. Actually, I think I'm going to play the Savannah out because I'm not going to use the blue for anything and I want to bait for the Wastelands. Okay, here's the other Bowmaster. I do think this is probably worth forcing. I don't want to deal with it. Yeah. And now we do have Ponder, which can punish us. But like if that resolved, we'd be taking like 4 next turn. Grafdigger's Cage is not a big deal. We have Prismatic Ending if we need to end it. They're really going anti-graveyard here. If they have yet another Bowmasters, it is pretty bad. Okay, Carpet seems pretty good. It only generates 1 mana, but that is enough. I am going to go ahead and play it out, see how they react. Okay. Now I'm going to go to post-combat and I'm going to use it to ponder. I do think we'll just add blue and we'll see what we find. There's a decent chance we find a plow even if they do have the Bowmaster. Okay, they don't have the Bowmaster. I think we don't want these. We can do better. We're probably going to get a land. Yeah, we get a land. Okay. Oops, all mana. Hopefully they don't have... if they Bowmaster, they would have Bowmastered when we pondered probably. They're getting Surveil here, but that is going to give us more mana later. It's worth noting that Grafdigger's Cage, it's true that we can't return URO with Grafdigger's Cage out, but if they crack the Spell Bomb, then we can. I would love for them to waste here. That's fine. It's going to F6 through the turn here. Okay, there are 2 cards potentially 3 if they want to crack the spell bomb. Another carpet is not what we wanted. I am going to play it. Now they're both going to trigger, or one of them is going to trigger. And I'm going to have to dismiss those. Yeah, that may end up hurting us clockwise because the clocks are pretty close. Oh, I should have played out of land. That was a punt. It's a very minor punt, but yeah. Okay. Don't find Bowmasters. I can handle pretty much anything else, but I can't handle Bowmasters. Okay. They may have like a reactive hand with like a bunch of forces and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and go for this. Play out another land just in case. Oh, I should have freaking held just in case I needed to shuffle these away. Yeah, that was so bad. Okay, that is shameful. Well, good news is next turn I've got that covered. So, yeah, that was so bad. Sorry for my sloppy play, my excellent friends. All right, we are definitely running down the clocks. They're at 11. I'm at 11. Yeah, that was so bad. I could have just cleanly shuffled away, but I'm going to draw an extra land unnecessarily. I think our surveil land is in exile. Yep. We're just taking this. Wasteland, please waste us. Kaito. They're just casting it. I think this is fine. I do have to get rid of this now. I'm not sure how. They top both cards. Yeah, this card is really good against control decks like ours. There's a Tamiyo. That does mean they're tapped out of Bowmasters here. I'm going to shuffle first. Let's go ahead and... it doesn't matter what we get. We're going to have tons of mana next turn. Get a drop, I guess. I'll get an island just in case I get to get death touchy creatures. Okay, I could have sworn I said always yield. Okay. Yes. Let's add some blue. Yes, let's add some green. Looking for endurance off this brainstorm. Double endurance, sure. We'll put this back. We'll draw that next turn. I'm going to go ahead and do both of these. We're just going to I'll pay the blue here. We'll hit their graveyard. Then I'm just going to do it again. So we can't F6. I am going to double block if they attack with Kaito. We're drawing a fetch, so we know we're drawing a dead card. We can't survive Kaito beating us down too much. What they might do is stun and then attack. They have to plus if they want to actually... They may have Fatal Push. Oh no, I should have plowed there probably. Yeah, because they have plenty of mana. Let's double block. They can just kill one with like a Fatal Push because they'll have Revolt off this clue. If they push, I'll just concede. Yeah, let's concede. All right, that didn't go like we wanted it to. That they did have the push, so the clue thing was a punt, but it wasn't the consequential punt that it could have been. It makes sense that they would have lots of interaction, though, in their hand. Okay, clocks are basically tied at 9 minutes. This has been an exciting match so far. Post-board, I don't really think anything changes. I'm not afraid of Fatal Push. Yeah, I'm sad that she's not going to play a bigger role, but I just don't think it's correct to bring her in. 2/2 creatures don't really matter. Yeah, Endurance is great, though. We'll send it back. Carpet is generally better when you don't also have like 6 lands in your hand. I think we had like at one point like 3 and we were drawing carpets. That's bad variance, but it will come up sometimes. I'm expecting Spell Pierce to carry more weight this game. Okay, this is not a bad hand. I think I'm going to keep this. This is an Island Ponder hand. Island Ponder keep, as Bosch and Roll says. And I think I am going to Island Ponder. We're looking for specifically additional fetches, so we have flexibility. All right, this is not terrible. I don't want this force, so I can surveil it away. So I'm going to take I'll take the Hedge Maze, and then I'll draw the Plow. In case they Thoughtseize me. I don't want them to Thoughtseize the Plow. And we're not going to be able to waste them due to the current setup. But we will be baiting their waste, which we probably won't care too much about. Now we have daze protection on our force if we need to force something, like a Bowmaster's. Please bring that waste. Now tap out and go get your non-basic for me. Maybe. Oh, they're not going to be so kind as to do that. All right. We're drawing wild. This could be a land. Tamiyo's not bad. I think I'm just going to play Tamiyo. And if they force or push or do something like that, I think it's fine. This is a window where we can't do anything about it. They instep, like, try to push her. No? All right, double fetching. They should get basics here. They can get both their basics, and they can just ignore us. Ignore our... Yeah, it's a 1-for-1. I'm going to let it happen. Now they know we have force in hand. I mean, we kind of like dumped a force, which telegraphs we might have a force. We can ponder or brainstorm this turn if we don't find a land. We did find a land. Well, I'm inclined to just chill. Yeah, I'm just going to chill. We can brainstorm in response to a Bowmaster. They are going to eventually subject themselves to our Wasteland. Tamiyo, that's fine. I can plow, or I can end her if they flip her. I think it's fine to test the waters with this Ice-fang. We have, yeah, I'm okay with doing this because if they do want to Bowmasters, I'm going to force and then I can waste their land. Okay, they're going for it. All right, they do have it. So this is going to be a force. Oh, they're going to let it resolve first, so we get our card. Oh, we don't necessarily get our card. Now they're going to go for it, and I am going to force here. And if they have a force back, we're in trouble. They do! Brutal. Okay, well now we need to draw a white source, and we'll be fine again. But this is not long for this world, unfortunately. Now they get an extra trigger. It's a Wasteland. Okay, we need a white source. A fetch. I will happily fetch planes and just be disciplined to play off planes if I can find a white source. Okay. I think we do need to get... I'm going to get a duel. I've got a guaranteed blue source. I don't want to get wasted off green. Take this. I'm going to go ahead and hit this now. Now, I think we hit this just to guarantee that we don't have to worry about them getting value. Taking 3 each turn is not the end of the world. They have to have a Wasteland. They've already used 1. Next turn we can waste them again if they try to develop their mana. Okay, they're developing their mana and we can waste them again. And we can plow the Bowmaster. But we are kind of under the gun here. Finding Endurance would be good. Okay, this might be Baragorn. Oh, this is Kaito. That's dangerous. Yeah, and we didn't get an opportunity to waste them before they could get Kaito out. So now we have to worry about them, surveilling and stuff. It's better that they had to do the Orc Army than that they had to... yeah, I mean, Kaito may just be so powerful against this archetype that we should just be playing Kaito, which is fine with me because, I've been playing Kaito. I think we do want to go ahead and just waste here. It's probably correct to just hold up a land. We've already used our Hedge Maze. They could find an answer. I'm going to wait and surprise them just because if they do play like a Baragorn or something like that, I may have to kill that instead of the Bowmaster. Wasteland. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this. I don't know that we can win anymore. Like, Endurance is good, but they could have days after this. We're 3 swings from death. Okay, surveilling. So we basically just need to draw URO. And I don't even know if URO gets us out of this, but URO does get us closer to getting out of this. I'm going to play this out. Now I'm going to ponder, and if they have Bowmasters, that's definitely game. They have Bowmasters. Okay. Let's see what we find here, but I think it's almost certainly game here. Wow. I would not imagine that we get tempoed out by a blue-black deck when we're playing a deck with 4 Endurances. Yeah, this doesn't work. Endurance. We're taking 6 next turn. And, well, yeah, we're taking 7. We're done. Good games. Okay. So, yeah, we're seeing the weakness in this archetype of midrange. I don't think it's just bad play on my part. Like, I may be missing some minor things, but I don't think I'm playing particularly terrible. I think that it could be that, like, Modern Horizons 3 just outclasses Modern Horizons 2, where Endurance was printed. I'm not feeling like a lack of cards, but we are kind of getting low in cards in some situations. Like there, we have high mana values, so it feels like we're gated in the number of spells we can cast. But then sometimes we draw the mana half of our deck, like game 2, and sometimes we draw the spell half of our deck, like in game 3. But Kaito is definitely a problem for traditional control decks, which is good because I like Kaito and I'm planning to play Kaito. I just wanted to experiment with playing Bant to see if I'm missing something like exile-based removal and Prismatic Ending. Like Prismatic Ending is strong. It is able to remove Tamiyo for 1 mana when she's flipped. It is able to get rid of problematic cards like Defense Grid, but you can get rid of that with Witherbloom Command, and you can also get a land back. Right? It's 1 more mana, but yeah. Okay, this hand is meh. Hollywood is, I think, a famous player from the MTG The Source. Okay, here's the list they're on. It's a show and tell. There's no sneak attack. It's the 1 ring show and tell. They've got Grim Monolith. They've got Brain Surge, Cosmic's Command. Interesting. And they've got Emrakul as their sole creatures. So they're not even playing. This is a really rogue list, and I'm excited to showcase this. I think we have a decent chance against this. I'm not sure what the monoliths are for. I guess they get infinite mana off Power Artifact, and then they can cast Emrakul. That must be what it's for. Okay, so we just need to stop them from getting infinite mana. I really hope they're on this list. Not a lot of basics in their list. Like 1. I think we actually keep this because Emrakul, URO seems pretty good, and we're on the play, and we can get a Surveil trigger immediately, and then we can just start wasting them every turn. They are mulling to 6. They do have 3 Duras in their deck. That's like the main way that they, I guess, protect their combo. They have Force as well. I think if we restrict their mana, specifically their blue mana, Power Artifact, is that 2 blue or 1 blue, 1 colorless? It's 2 blue. As long as we keep them off blue, I think we'll be okay. And we're going to Surveil, and we're going to hope that their Mold of 5 is sufficiently disrupted by Wasteland. Talisman of Dominance. Okay, so they can generate blue mana with that. That's fine. I am going to waste that. We don't need more land. I just want to make sure they're not playing any anti-basic. Non-basic. Doesn't look like it. I think I can hit the waste here, and then later I can hit the Talisman. It might make sense to hit the Talisman now and then hit the Ancient Tomb next turn. I'm not sure if that's correct, but blue mana does seem to be pretty key to what they're trying to do. And this is efficient use of our Prismatic Ending that doesn't really hit a lot. This is not the exact same list they were on, by the way, because they weren't playing the Talisman in the other list. I really want to start Urowing, but we'll see whether that is possible. Let me just show and tell here. Brain Surge is fine. It's a lot of card selection, but we're going to hit their... Gosh, do we hit... I'm going to trust in hitting their Underground Seas, their blue sources. They have deltas. Those are the only fetches. They actually don't have that many ways to get blue mana. Lotus Field, interesting. When Lotus Field enters, sack 2 lands. Holy cow! Please put that in play. Okay. So what I can do here is I can Uro into Wasteland. Let's go ahead and get a Trop here. I'll get a Tundra. Okay, we'll play this out. We have a backup Uro to pitch to Force. Just going to take them off that. Feeling pretty good. A lot of that is because they mulled a 5. And we have some idea of what their deck does. They've been playing this list for a while. If I were going in blind and had absolutely no idea what their deck did, I would be pretty terrified right now. We had to let this resolve. I don't think it's correct to fight it. They're not going to be able to take our Wasteland, which is the most powerful card in our hand. They snap went for force, so I think it's a decent chance that they have something in hand, like a show and tell, Emrakul. We're going to have to go after their blue source again. If we draw another land, we can bring back URO and then do it, but otherwise we're going to have to just cast URO. The other option is hold up Pierce, but I don't think that's right, considering I would love to draw a land here that we can put in. Well, we're going to be putting this in. Dies. Wasting this. They're very far from both of their... they could just have show and tell and win that way. We've put up as much of a fight as we can. Okay, here they go. 5 mana. Big play. K command. Taking out both of our UROs and one of our Wastelands. Nice. I respect that. They're going to scry. They did use their Grim Monolith mana here, and we are going to have Pierce up next turn. This Plow needs to get out of our hand. Stat. Yeah, K command just showing like, oh, I've never had that mode actually even used against me. Just the card is ridiculous. Okay, I think we do Brainstorm here because we do want to find a land, and we do want to get rid of this Plow. Okay, so if we waste them, I think that's fine. I don't want to draw this ever. I can just put this back. We're not going to use this turn. We can put a Pierce back. That way, if they Thoughtseize us for some reason. Yeah, I am going to hit their land though. It's worth noting that they're at 9 just from dealing damage to themselves. Right. So we're going to redraw the Pierce, and then we're going to Misty. And I'm not sure. Okay, they have a city. Well, that's a non-renewable source. Draw our Pierce. I'm going to play this out. I am going to pass. There's not a lot that we can hit, but if they play out another one of those artifacts, I want to be able to hit it with ending. Almost everything in their deck is a non-creature spell. So these Pierces are pretty good. If they try to K command for nothing, I will probably just Pierce that. Just to keep them from cantripping. My opponent said really. When I wasted them a second time. I think they're not happy about that. And I'm not going to say that I'm not happy that they're not happy. All right, let's grab this. Ponder. Let's do it. This is pretty good. We don't want the Coatl particularly, but it's not bad. I mean, it is a clock actually. So I'll take the Coatl, and now I have both Spell Pierce. I have potentially double Pierce and Coatl. Coatl will kill them over the span of a few turns if they keep bricking. And it reduces life, which they use as a resource to enable their combo. Okay. Okay, they are doing something in step. Legend rolling their land. Okay, fetching. Show and tell. Would you be sad if I said no thank you? Please force pitch. Force pitch. If they have another force, this does get through, but that means that they don't have anything to put in. All right, so they did delay us for a turn from our Ice-fang beatdown. Yeah, let's just hold this because we do need to be able to force pitch if they happen to have another show and tell. They'll need a land. If we're lucky and we get a land here in the next turn cycle, then we'll have Hardcast Force up, and I don't think they have any soft permission in their deck. It's worth noting that this is pretty easily exiled by Kozilek's command, so that is something we have to worry about. Best draw on our deck is a Brainstorm to put back these Prismatic Endings that don't do anything. All right, we're drawing. Yep, we got the best possible. I'm going to go ahead and do it. Should I do it? There is a risk that we don't find a blue card. I'm going to wait. I can put stuff back just as easily next turn, and I need to make sure we have force up. Okay, they concede. All right. So post board, this is a clear situation where consigned memory comes in. It seems like it'd be insane here. It stops Emrakul. It stops. I mean, Emrakul can't technically be countered, so it doesn't stop Emrakul. Wrath. Let's take a look. This is not the exact list, but it's similar. Soothsaying. Look at the top X cards of your library and then put them back in. They've got a lot of deck manipulation here. Omniscience, scary. Scary wary, as my daughter likes to say. I think their sideboard is likely to have defense grid, so we can take out the plows. That's a clean substitution. Null Rod seems tailor-made for this. Hull Breacher seems really good. Force Negation is coming in. I don't think Endurance really matters. Again, Jolrael is coming out, unfortunately. I think loam might actually be okay because we can loam back and waste them repeatedly and kind of do that lock. I think Endurance comes out. It's just not, I don't see how it does anything other than beat them down. And beating them down is not what we're concerned with. We can beat them down with URO once we stabilize the game. So yeah, this is, I think how I'm going to run it. Yeah. Let's think about Wrath of the Skies. Yeah, I don't think Wrath of the Skies is worth it. All right. This is a force hand with double Wasteland again, but I don't think we can rely on that. We got lucky last game that it was consequential. This is a force hand with Endurance is not a good card. I think we put it back and we just keep everything else. Yeah, we've got our colors. We've got Force Negation. If they take a few turns, we can even hardcast it. All right, that's an unfortunate draw. I do want to surveil here. All right, my kids were fighting. Defense grid on the stack, no problem. I've got Prismatic Ending. They won't be able to stop me removing it, which is nice. This is what we kept Prismatic Ending for, specifically. I called out Defense Grid, and I'm happy to see that it coming up. Perfect time where they can't really use it for anything. And we can just cleanly remove it. Endurance, not good enough. All right. And Defense Grid, ironically, protecting us from their interaction while we remove it. Love to see it. We've got URO on deck. This is their big turn. We're pretty quickly going to run away with the game. Actually, this Plains is kind of unfortunate. I think we do need to interact with this because we may be able to draw in an interaction. I want to feel really dumb if... yeah. But I do think URO is... We do want to jam URO next turn. I mean, it could be they're just setting up. They didn't play a land that turn. Null Rod. Well, I think we played Null Rod. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and Null Rod. I think if they had Force, maybe they would have used Force there. All right. Null Rod does lock out some of their big plays. I actually don't know if they have any answer in their deck to Null Rod. Okay, they're stuck on 2 mana. Ice-fang. I am going to go ahead and do this. I don't think they have soft permission in their deck. Actually, there's no reason not to play this out because we're going to get a land drop here. Wasteland's great. Let's play it. They may K command to get rid of it. I think this might be them scooping. No? I wouldn't fall for them for scooping because we're about to waste one of their few mana sources. They said, LOL, get out of here with that. Famous Hollywood MK. Much respect to you, sir, for everything you did on the source, if you're the same person. The Hollywood on the source. So that closes out the record. So we didn't win any games against the first 2 matches, which were, was it Ruby? I think we won against Ruby Storm once. So this was Ruby Storm. This was the Blue-Black Tempo, where we just got completely destroyed by Kaito. I think if Kaito wasn't in their deck and we were just playing against like a, an old version that was like on the Frog version before Kaito was printed, we would be favored. But Kaito is clearly very strong against white magic. And then the Eldrazi one, Doomsday. Those 2 were clean losses. Our Doomsday opponent, shout out to Shime 20 for just being an exceptional Doomsday pilot. In my humble opinion, as a non-Doomsday player, like they found lines. And then the only one we won was the Hollywood MK at the end, but we won that nice and cleanly. So yeah, let's take a look at the list. So normally I'm reluctant to publish videos where I just lose back to back. Like I didn't get anything. I paid $10 to do this league and I lost. And every league there's going to be, 32 people in kind of a pod. And one of those people is going to trophy and like several of those people are going to 0-5. I think like at least one of those people is going to 0-5. And I think like 2 or 3 are going to like 0-4 or 1-4. Yeah. And we won 4. So I think I'm going to share this anyway, just because I think it's helpful for people to see the state of non-Nadu Bant right now. And you could argue like, oh, there's like different deck building decisions you could have made that would have made this better. And like playing Narset, for example, instead of playing a more creature heavy version, and it's totally legit criticism. Like maybe you want to play Bant and you want to play a whole bunch of Narset. You can't play Narset and also play a lot of creatures. That doesn't work. I will say we never cast her, or I think we cast her like once. She's not worth it. So I would definitely take her out and probably replace her with like Keen-Eye Curator. But then you've got like 5 anti-graveyard. Keen-Eye Curator is pretty good, but it is like the fact that it costs 2 green, it might as well cost like 4 mana because you're not going to have 2 green until pretty late in the game, generally. So I would probably just replace this with like another interaction spell or something like that. Spell Pierce continues to be exceptional in pretty much every combo matchup, and then it's an easy selection to board out against creature strategies. We never got to breach holes. We did cast the Hull Breacher, but our opponent just kept declining to do the draw trigger on their whatever the card was, the red card. Yeah, I mean, like we never got paired against. I will say No Rod felt pretty good in that final game. Like it did shut off a lot of what they could do. We never cast a Wrath of the Skies. When you're this creature heavy, you don't want to be playing Supreme Verdict. You don't want to be playing cards like Terminus. It doesn't hurt that much to play Terminus because you're just putting back cards that are powerful when they come back later, and you're probably doing more damage to your opponent. But I would say that I would not play Miracles. Like St. Catherine, I don't think is good enough for Legacy, in my humble opinion. But so one of the things that spurred me to play this deck is somebody left a comment saying like, well, if you're going to play Bant, you should play URO because URO is like so much better than Murktide. And I agree. URO is a much better card than Murktide in the context of being a control player, but URO doesn't synergize with Beanstalk at all. And it's like an unrelated engine. And I feel like if you're playing Beanstalk, you want to maximize the number of Beanstalk triggering cards, and Murktide is a good one. And yes, Murktide is definitely less of a control card and more of an aggro card, but it does trigger Beanstalk. If they had something like URO that did trigger Beanstalk, but also came out like for 2 mana, like Murktide did, yeah, that would be better. But the fact that URO doesn't trigger Beanstalk means that I think they're 2 separate decks. I don't think you should play URO in your Beanstalk deck. I played URO in my 2023 Eternal Weekend deck, and it was okay. I think I 6-5'd the event, but it wasn't exceptional, and there were a lot of instances where I wished I just had more Murktides. But Murktide and URO compete for resources, the graveyard. And, like that is a weakness. Also, obviously, Kozilek's Command hitting URO came up. We did lose 2 of our UROs and a Wasteland to a K command. So that is a vulnerability of URO that didn't exist back in the heyday when URO was like a big deal. You've got the top deck in the format, like undisputed. Eldrazi is the best deck in the format. It is the most broken deck in the format right now. I would say Blue-Black Reanimator is still extremely strong, but I'd much rather go up against Blue-Black Reanimator with pretty much any deck than go against Eldrazi with pretty much any deck right now. Other than Delver. I think Delver is very strong against Eldrazi, but it's not necessarily like a 90-10 matchup. But my point is, when you have the top deck in the format, and a lot of other decks are playing K command too, like a lot of combo decks that are like big mana combo decks are playing K command. So that's another vulnerability for URO. So I think right now URO is just not legacy playable, is my humble assessment of the card. I don't think that he's the best thing you could be doing. I think you should be playing Beanstalk and Murktide. And I understand that it feels like Murktide is not a control player card, but Beanstalk is definitely a control player card, and Murktide basically becomes kind of like a Muldrifter, if you will, when you're casting it with Beanstalks out. So yeah, they're two different directions. And the other thing that, people might say, oh, you should be playing Planeswalkers. Play more Planeswalkers. I'm playing a single Teferi, and then of course Tamiyo flips. I think if you're playing a Planeswalker heavy kind of Super Friends deck, you should probably be in Jeskai instead of Bant. Endurance continues to be a great card. It's very flexible, but the commitment to green is so intense that I almost feel like it's not a control player card anymore, because you have to stretch your deck so far into the green direction. And when you remove URO from your deck, you don't have to stretch so far into green. Jeskai can play a lot more basics, and they can relax without ever even showing red in game one. And the reason they can do that is because they're really just doing a few cards from the sideboard, like Pyroblasts, and maybe they have a single Fourth Aerolingus or something, right? So I think because Jeskai is able to dedicate fewer mana to non-blue, non-white cards, because really your bread and butter as a control player is blue and white, and any splash color, whether it's black, red, or green, you want it to be minimal. I think Esper control is probably better than Bant control, just because it has access to Kaito at least. That would be my humble assessment. So I hope you found this helpful. I hope you didn't just cringe at like me losing repeatedly. Like, we were losing not because we necessarily made bad decisions. There were a few minor punts that I recall calling out, and there were probably some that I didn't even notice that you may have noticed in the comments. But I think this is really just like Legacy has changed, and URO isn't what it used to be, and Endurance is very hard to cast, and you can still get really far with like Wastelock on Loam, but it's just hard to compete with cards like Kaito, which can never be countered, and Eldrazi, which can never, like, their effects can't be countered when you're trying to keep people honest with counter spells. I do think that if you do play Bant, you should rock the 3 Wastelands. These felt incredible all day long, but they are, slow. Like, you're every time you waste somebody, you're going anti-tempo, basically. They played a land, they tapped it, they cast Ponder or whatever, and you're playing a land, and all you're doing is destroying the land that's already been tapped for a mana. So it is tempo negative to play these, and you have to be careful when you're playing tempo negative cards in a control deck where your opponent is trying to keep the game relatively short, and you're trying to make the game long. But Wasteland is definitely a great card with all the Cavern of Souls out there, with all the Urza Sagas, all those cards that wreck your day. The other card that I'm not playing that you could argue would be good here is Dress Down. I think Dress Down is really good against Nadu decks, and I think that if you were going to go creatureless, or like, you could certainly take out the Ice-fangs. These didn't do much in this league. They're very good at enabling Kaito, but I think this was probably the weakest card in the list, in that, like, at the very best, it was cantripping. You could take these out. So I'm going to show you what a Bant list would be like based on those. And then if you want me to play a league with that Bant list, I will spend $10 and buy some tickets and play, but I'm probably going to lose. But sorry to like anchor the expectations, but I will play it. Okay, let's do that list. All right, so I thought really hard, and I just couldn't come up with a list idea that wasn't just Bant Beans. I think Bant Beans, this is the superior list. And when I played it, I think I like 2-3'd. It wasn't a great performance, but it felt a lot more powerful. And I didn't even play as tight as I played today. I think if I had played as tight with this list as I played today, then this could have been like a maybe even a 4-1 list. Let's take a look at the decision. So it's still got the Spell Pierce. It's got a Brain Surge to enable Terminus. The main risk, of course, is still Bowmasters, which is the natural predator for these types of decks. But still has the 3 endings, the 4 Plow, all the cantrips, the pierces. It still has 3 Tamiyo, and I think 3 Tamiyo is the right number in a control deck. You don't want to have a lot of creatures in a control deck. And it's got the 3 Terminuses. I think Terminus is so good, and it would have been good in all those situations. One reason it's good is because you can have a clue, or you can have a Brainstorm, and you can like put the Terminus on top, and then you can activate and cast Terminus essentially at instant speed for its miracle cost, and then you can wipe out Kaito. That's the only way you can really kill Kaito with these kinds of decks. You could, just pressure it through combat, but you're not going to be doing that with cards like URO. You're not going to be doing that with, Ice-fang Coatl. You can do that with Endurance, but it is a little harder if they have any other creatures to chump. But Murktide flies, and it's pretty good at killing Kaito if you can get the jump on Kaito. So this is probably exactly what I would play if I had to queue into a league. And if you want me to play another, this is a fixed version of what I was playing in the Bant Beans list from earlier this week, by the way. So this is, I added the Terminus, I added the Brain Surge, which I'm very excited to play. I love this card. I am terrified of Orcish Bowmasters, but I think this card is great. And then this is just 6 creatures. So your Tamiyo or your Narcissus are almost always going to hit. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't you just go up to 4 Narset and play Days Undoing? I think Days Undoing is a win more card. I've never been impressed with it personally. And I own, several copies of the card and I've tried to make it work, but I genuinely just feel like there are so many games where you just draw it and you don't have a Narset out and it's just blank cardboard essentially. And there are also games where like, you do Days Undoing, but you can't close the game fast enough because a lot of those Days Undoing decks don't really have good ways to close the game. One deck that I'm thinking about playing is Standstill. I've seen like Take Your Time do really well with Standstill. Standstill can have Wasteland. It can have lots of, I have like the Eternal Dragon. I ordered some Retro Border Eternal Dragons, 4 of them. And I got really excited about potentially playing a Standstill list. So if you want to see me play Standstill, leave a comment with, hey, play Standstill. And that'll give me more signal, that I should play Standstill on the channel. So your options, and you can choose more than one. Should I play Bant Beans? Again, I think I'm going to put non-Beans Bant back on the shelf. I just don't think it's viable. I still, obviously, Bant Nadu is totally fine. It's like a very powerful deck. And so powerful, I would say that I'm annoyed at playing it, but having to play against it. But it's not a list that you're not going to see Nadu on this channel, not from my perspective. You'll see me playing against a lot of Nadu, but I'm not interested really in playing Nadu decks personally. But yeah, so the Bant Beans or Standstill. Or if you want to see me play Jeskai Control, I don't think it's particularly good. There's always like some person who shows up with Jeskai who's been playing it for years and is an expert pilot, and maybe they can figure out a way to navigate through all the Nadu and all the Eldrazi and all the blue-black Reanimator and stuff and get wins. But I think on a whole, it's an underpowered deck, in my humble opinion. So I hope that doesn't upset the Control Mages who are really rocking it. But like, I don't think it's well positioned right now with all the Cavern of Souls and stuff like that out there. But I do think that this could work. And the reason I think this could work is because we do have Murktide to close, and Murktide is great against Eldrazi. And we do have Card Draw Engine in both Beanstalk and Tamiyo. And we still have, lock cards in Narset and Teferi. And because we just have such a dedication to wrathing the board in 3 Terminuses. Again, this is probably going to feel like overkill when we play with it, but I think it'll be exciting to see this trigger the Beanstalk and completely, 2 for 1 or 3 for 1 our opponents. If we can get this at instant speed and wipe away Kaito, that'll just be so backbreaking and so fun. And I love the fact that Terminus costs 1 mana because then you have Spell Pierce up and you can usually get it through. So yeah, I'd be excited to play this list. And if you want me to play it, leave a comment. So I've said that like 3 times now, and I will leave it at that. Have a fantastic day. And until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.